China is cracking down on Islamic identity once again. It's removing Arab-style features from mosques, remodeling them to appear more Chinese. This campaign of Sinicization is playing out in Xining, alternatively known as Sining. It's the capital of Gangli province in western China and home of the Hui Muslims. They comprise at least 16% of Xining's population. Who are these people? The Hui Muslims are among the 55 ethnic groups recognized by China. They form the biggest Muslim population in the country. At 10.5 million strong, they're also China's third largest ethnic group. Interestingly, members of this community are not persecuted the way Uyghur Muslims are in Xinjiang. Why is that? Because these people have made their version of Islam compatible with Chinese concepts and practices, portrayed it as inherently Chinese and not a foreign influence. So they speak Chinese, Mandarin, they try to look Chinese, they even act Chinese. But Beijing keeps pushing for more. It wants to eliminate whatever remains of their Islamic identity. Bizarrely, this intolerance even extends to Islamic architecture. On your screen are images of the Dongguan Mosque. It's a 700-year-old mosque, the largest in the city of Xining. It's famous for its green and white dome, accompanied by 2 tall minarets. Both these features have now disappeared. Look at these images now. The dome is gone, the minarets are nowhere to be found. This 14th century mosque has undergone complete renovation. It now resembles a Communist Party office. Throughout this year, China revamped the mosque, forcefully demolished the dome, tore the minarets down, all in the name of integration and national unity. The Hui Muslims have no choice but to agree, it seems. Any form of protest will mean imprisonment or a term at one of those re-education camps that China runs. So they stay silent as Chinese authorities run over their mosques. Look at this image now. This is the Nangguan Mosque in the same city. This one too has been remodeled. Its domes, minarets and Arabic calligraphy replaced by Chinese text and architecture. Something similar happened to the Jiaman Mosque in the city of Kira. It was once a prominent center of prayer for Muslims. It's now hidden behind high walls of Communist Party propaganda with no indication that it was ever a religious site. Then we have the Weizhou Grand Mosque in Ningxia, completely sinicized. Its domes, minarets, they've all been replaced with tile pagodas. Islamic calligraphy has been replaced with Chinese sayings. It's incredible how much China wants to control the lives of its Muslims. It no longer cares if they're dissidents or not. If they believe in separatism or not, it doesn't matter. Beijing doesn't see any difference. It wants the Chinese identity to prevail over every community, every culture, every ethnicity and religion. Which brings us to Xinjiang, the biggest victim of this Sinicization campaign. The most militarized region in the country. The pandemic provided China an opportunity to further strengthen its control over this province. Today, it has been cut off from the rest of the world. No one knows what's happening in Xinjiang. So last Thursday, a group of 43 UN member nations issued a statement calling upon China to allow, quote-unquote, immediate, meaningful and unfettered access to Xinjiang. They asked Beijing to let independent observers visit the place, including the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. The statement was signed by the likes of the UK, the US, France and Germany. But the name that stands out among the list of signatories is Turkey, a country which deports Uyghur refugees in China in exchange for economic aid. Its hypocrisy is striking. But even that is not enough to pressurize China. Beijing has not budged 1 inch. For the nth time, it has denied allegations of human rights abuses, saying the politicization of the issue by Western nations has made any future visit to Xinjiang impossible to happen.
The US and a few other countries are desperately trying to cover up their own terrible human rights record, but the world sees it clearly. What I should point out again is that this visit should be a friendly one, should not be a so-called investigation with presumed guilt. That's not acceptable to China. Actually, at this moment, Bannon, the barriers are not on the Chinese side. It's the politicized practice. It's the preset conditions of a number of Western countries which have made this visit not impossible to happen.
For years, Chinese Muslims have been suffering. For years, the world has tried to help them, and for years, China has curtailed all such efforts. So perhaps it's time for world bodies to do away with statements of condemnation. Instead, they should now outline possible paths to hold China accountable. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.